SportsCenter anchor Kevin Connors with us here on Big Boar Sports. Good morning, Kevin. Rodger and Chris Honorado in Albany on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio. Good morning.
Rodger and Chris, it's great to be with you guys. How are you?
Thanks, Kevin. Great to have you. And I know my colleague is glad that you went to Ithaca. That's for sure.
Shout out Bombers.
You know, Bombers. Were you a good player at Ithaca?
Well, it would be hard to tell because you didn't see much of me on the court. I think the way that I would describe it is I was a good high school player, and I competed at Ithaca and didn't get to play as much as I might have liked. But it was it turned out to be an important life experience that you run into adversity at times, and you've got to figure out a way to deal with that. So it wasn't easy at the time, but it served me well here in life.
Raj, Kev might undersell a bit.
Yeah. From
Long Island, he was an all-county hoops player and then a four-year letter winner at Ithaca. So, look, playing time regardless. The arrow is trending up with Kevin Connors right now. I'll tell you that right now.
I know how I felt back in the high school days when I felt like I should have gotten more playing time. Maybe you're in that corner, Kevin, right? Should have been out on the court more, and you just didn't play as much as you thought you should have. I get all that. Hey, Chris, you were on this, and I'll let you take over here because we were talking, Kevin, about the speeding up the game and how the pitchers are at some point, maybe down the road, will have a time limit on when they need to release that ball from the pitcher's mound, and then. Chris, you've been all over, along with Kevin, right? The relief pitching situation out of the bullpen.
Kev, I love seeing this tweet from you, and that's why, I just kind of piled on here, but you started it on Twitter. The idea that a Major League Baseball reliever warms up in the bullpen, Raj, and then has to, leisurely make his way to the mound. Then they take a commercial break. He's throwing 10 more pitches or whatever it is. And I said on Twitter, it's the only position in sports where you warm up after warming up. Kevin, what is it that triggered your brain on this over the weekend when I saw you tweet it?
I don't know. I guess it was, I've been watching some of the College World Series, which listen, they've talked about Major League Baseball possibly going to 7 innings. That's never going to happen. I think college baseball could maybe shorten things up a little bit. I don't think we need to be playing 3.5-hour college games, but that's a subject for another time. I just got thinking about ways to speed up the game, and I know we've seen stuff about the pitch clock. I went to a minor league game recently, and I saw the pitch clock there, and I thought about that, and then I thought, wait a minute. You got a reliever up in the bullpen, like you said, Chris, he's taking 10 minutes warming up, and then he comes onto the mound, and now we got to wait another 5 minutes for him to get ready. Like, get on the mound, throw a pitch, and let's go. And, in between innings, I'm not sure we need 2.5, 3 minutes. I love baseball, but baseball needs to address an issue with the pace of play. And there are some fixes that I think could be relatively easy, and to me, that's one of them.
And the other thing I brought up, and we touched on this in the last hour, Kev, is I said, the commercial break structure too. I mean, they're going to a break as he comes out of the bullpen. Why? Can we restructure the breaks a little bit? Promise the advertisers something a little different here as opposed to taking a break there and running another 2 minutes of spots?
There's no question. Look, anymore, we can put graphics up on the screen that will fill the place of what a commercial is. Let's get creative on the TV side or on the radio side of things. I'm not sure that we need to have all these breaks within a game because the actual game played within a baseball game where action is going on, it's got to be a third of what a game time is. And again, I'm not looking for radical changes. We don't need to start at that with a 2-1 count. I'm not looking to change the game to 7 innings in Major League Baseball. I'm just thinking about realistic ways where we can keep the game going because baseball is a wonderful game, but it is facing a problem here in this day and age with a younger audience that people just don't want to sit through a game as slow as it is.
Kevin, you mentioned the pitch clock in the minors. When you were there watching that, how did that work for you?
Yeah, I was with my 2.5-year-old daughter, and she was running around and wanting ice cream and food all the time. So I can't tell you that I was paying as close attention as I would have liked to. It seemed like it was a little bit faster. Again, I don't know that we want to get to a point where the crowd is counting down the seconds and the pitcher's got to hurry through his windup. I just think, look, if a guy steps into the batter's box, in between every pitch, he doesn't need to take his batting gloves off and adjust himself and fix his helmet and wipe his brow and, re-put pine tar on the bat. Let's go. let's get in there and let's take your swings and let's get the game going. And these are all things that will not dramatically impact how the game is played, in my opinion.
Kevin, I know you're a Yankees fan. Would you sit in the judges' chambers?
Sure. I think those are the kind of things that I think that the Sabre people and the diehard baseball needs to be played this way. Those are things that I think that they can lighten up on. That's something, if that's going to make it fun for kids, for 20-year-olds, for 80-year-olds, go for it. Why not? That's a fun thing. And even at Yankee Stadium, which is traditionally, you haven't had those things. You kind of get those things with some of the newer teams in the non-traditional baseball areas. But yeah, why not? That's fun.
We're talking with Kevin Connor, SportsCenter anchor here on Big Board Sports 104.5, the Team ESPN Radio. Let's go to the Buffalo Bills. Is there any chance they make the playoffs next season?
Why not? Listen, one of these years, guys, it can't continue like this forever. Yeah, why not? I mean, I think you got a new coach who's and a new general manager. There's obviously, look, we turned it over again. I don't know how many more times we can do that here. But it seems like the culture now is bringing guys of high character in, which doesn't mean that they're low talent. I just think it's sort of going about it in a different way. There's talent there. I mean, we've got an elite running back. We've got a top flight wide receiver. We've got a pretty good tight end. We got a very good offensive line. Defensively there are some holes and things have to fall into place. But the NFL, the one thing I've learned about this, it's fun to look at the schedule 5 months out and say, that's a win, that's a loss, we're not winning that game. Hey, we can win these 3 in a row. The NFL, you never, ever know. And things can happen quickly in the league. Guys can pick things up quickly. It obviously all goes back to Tyrod Taylor, and if he has success as a quarterback, which he's had at times, and then at other times it's been a nightmare, you never know. I think the Bills are one of those teams that could get a wild card, sure.
Kevin, I know you're a Syracuse fan as well. What's your thoughts on what now seems like Jim Boeheim going to be there for a while? We had Boeheim on this show last week, and I asked him that question. He said, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to stay. I'm healthy. I feel good. He says, I think I can still coach and add a lot to this game. He has no plans on retiring. We thought next year might be his last year. Well, guess what? Not so fast. How about your thoughts on Boeheim sticking around for a while?
I feel for Mike Hopkins because he was a good soldier for a long time. And, I work in a place where you have a lot of legends, and it's tough to supplant them, and that can be frustrating at times for the people who have paid their dues underneath them, a la Mike Hopkins. But I'll tell you this, Jim Boeheim is, I need not tell you guys, he's one of the absolute legends of coaching. Syracuse basketball is better for having him as its coach. And I get the sense, I know Jim very, very little. I've been around the program quite a bit. They're my favorite team. I know that he's not the kind of guy that's going to retire and go play golf every day and be content with that. He's an upstate New York guy. He's run the program for every year of my life, I think, except one, and I'm 42. Syracuse basketball is who he is, and so I think the program is better with him in charge. He's still young and energetic enough to want to do it. So good. I do feel for Mike Hopkins, but I'm glad that Hop landed on his feet.
Hey, Kev, we've gone through the Yankees and the Bills and Syracuse, and you're not shy about saying that you watch these teams, you root for them. How have you balanced the job of covering sports and yet still remaining such a big sports fan, passionate about the teams you grew up watching and cheering for? And have you encountered any resistance from fans because you're open about still being a fan?
That's a great question, Chris. I thought for a while there, no, you've got to be objective. I can't root for anybody. And here's the bottom line. People who consume, whether it's our product or the show you guys put on the air or a live game, whatever, Twitter, whatever, I think people appreciate passionate sports fans. And just because I'm the one that's delivering the scores doesn't mean I can't be passionate about it. Now, you can't get into a situation where, in a serious way, you're crushing another team religiously. I mean, I do have something of an obligation to not do that. But to be passionate about the team that you're rooting for and let it leak through a little bit sometimes on the air, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And, listen, for me personally, showing the fact that I'm a Bills fan has worked out tremendously for me on social media. I've heard most of the feedback that I get is because I've been passionate about the Bills or Syracuse basketball or what have you. So to me, it's fun. It's engaging. If someone doesn't like it and they support their team, then that's fun too. So I don't think that there's much harm in it. And again, if you do it the right way, I think that it can be engaging.
Well, Kevin, I can tell you this. We're supposed to, one of these months, they're going to send Chris and I to Bristol, so maybe we can have lunch with you in the big cafeteria.
That's a done deal. You tell me when, and we'll set it up. I'd love to have you guys there.
Is it better than the Towers late night at Ithaca?
Here we go.
Well, I'm a little bit more sober in the ESPN cafeteria than I was at Towers late night, so I'll have to leave that one open-ended.
Love it. Hey, Kevin, thanks a lot for a few minutes here in Albany. We appreciate it.
Chris, Rodger, guys, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kev.